Hello, welcome back to Rapid MMA. I'm going to do a brief rundown of UFC on Fox, Dos Anjos versus Cerrone taking place this weekend. Sorry for the abbreviated breakdown, I'll simply just be giving you my thoughts on these fights, as December has been a crazy month and I've just been short on time. Great fights are on this card, so let's begin. The main event, Dos Anjos versus Cerrone. This is a rematch essentially. It's going to be a 5-round fight as opposed to the first meetup, which was a 3-round fight. And Dos Anjos took the decision victory. I think it was a unanimous decision victory. It was a pretty good fight. Both of them had their strengths, but Dos Anjos was just able to put it together a little better. Here's the thing about Cerrone, he's an awesome fighter, but he's very Muay Thai based. It works in his favor a lot of the times, but he isn't very mobile. He has that Frankenstein walk going on. Mobile, quick fighters capitalize on this, and that's what happened in their first fight, and also what happened with Jury. If Jury committed a little more, I'm sure he probably would have won that fight too. I'd like to see Cerrone mix it up just a little more, and working on the ground game a little bit too. Cerrone's very underrated in the grappling department, and I'm sure he could hold his own against Dos Anjos. In their first meetup, Cerrone did secure a takedown. I'd like to see a little more out of him. I think he'd be able to hold his own just fine on the ground. Dos Anjos basically needs to do what he did in their first fight, but maybe turn it up a bit in the championship rounds. I think cardio may lean just slightly in Dos Anjos' favor, but I can see the argument the other way. Of course, he also needs to work around Cerrone's 2-inch reach advantage by working the body a little bit. We saw that in Makdessi versus Cerrone. Makdessi was going for the body a lot. It really works against the Muay Thai stylists. Also, he doesn't really cover up his body too well. So that'd be a big advantage for Dos Anjos to use body attacks in this fight, stay mobile, stay on the outside, in, out, that kind of game plan, and also being unpredictable with his takedowns. That's kind of what we saw in their first fight. I'd like to see that a little more, kind of the pace and pressure that Dos Anjos had against Anthony Pettis. I'd like to see that translate in this fight. Based on their last encounter, I'm going to go with Dos Anjos by decision. I think Cerrone has all the tools to win this and definitely could see him winning, but I just got to lean towards Dos Anjos in this fight. Either way, it'll be a good fight. Next is Dos Santos versus Overeem. This is a fight I'm very excited about. We're seeing a leaner Alistair Overeem, which means he'll probably be a little bit more mobile, a little more active. We see him really stick to a game plan now. Ever since he's been with Jackson Wink, he's been developing. I like his game plans that he's coming in with, and he's sticking to them. I think his chin at this point is a little questionable. I mean, he's been in some wars. He's got a long career, and people also have the TRT argument. But that aside, I still believe he's a big threat to this division. He holds a 3-inch reach advantage. That's important if he uses it wisely. Some interesting stats with this fight. JDS lands 4.8 strikes per minute, and Overeem lands 3.8. Overeem on average absorbs 1.6 per minute, but JDS absorbs 3.2. Overeem is much better defensively. I think we see these stats play a major role in this fight, and it's a tough fight for both guys. I'm sure a lot of people are going with a first-round knockout for JDS. I was leaning that way at first, and that's probably the wisest choice, but I'm not counting Overeem out just yet. His kicks are lethal. We see him going for takedowns, and he's very good with timing on them. I'm gonna lean towards Overeem in this fight by decision. Maybe a bit of a stretch, especially with how JDS hits, but like I said, I'm not counting out Overeem just yet. This is the last fight I'm going to do for this video because I really haven't done my research on the Marcos fight, nor do I really care about it. So we're going to go Michael Johnson versus Nate Diaz. An interesting fight because it's pretty much an even matchup on paper. I think they're going to slap the shit out of each other. Not to mention they got into a little scuffle at the weigh-ins, so there seems to be a little bad blood. That's always exciting. Michael is pretty tricky at times. I think he fights a bit more defensively than Diaz. You could probably say that about a lot of matchups with Diaz. This is a hard one for me, but I think Diaz has the edge in the striking game, and if it were to go to the ground, Diaz is pretty slick off his back. I think Diaz can pick up a couple rounds and win this probably by split decision. Listen, I'm not too confident in these picks. I really wish I had more time for this card, but I don't. I apologize, but thank you to everyone who subscribes. Leave your picks down below. I want to see what you guys think. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.